I don't have to.
Right.
That's what I was going to say.
I will say something about that. Thank you to everyone for coming today. Coach D'Onofrio will open with a statement, and then we will questions from you all. So, Coach.
Great. Well, I want to thank you all for coming out and giving us a chance to talk about the new Miami defense and what we have in store in 2011. And I just want to say that it's an honor for me to be here with Coach Golden, who has been a personal friend of mine for 23 years now. So it's hard to believe we've known each other that long. But I've worked for him the last 7, and if there's anyone who's the right guy for this job, it's him, and that's why I'm here. So, any questions? Well, no, there'll certainly be a plan. We have been multiple, and I know that's a bit vague, but we have been multiple in that we've been a 4-3 base team that's been able to get in and out of multiple fronts and odd fronts. And for example, in college football today, you'll play all kinds of teams. You'll play spread teams. You'll play 2-back teams. In our conference, we're going to have to play Georgia Tech, which runs a triple option, which we're familiar with. I think we're 5-1 over the last 3 years against Navy and Army. So that's something that we've had to do. So you have to be able to move in and out of different fronts and different defenses to defend that stuff. Okay, and the key is not confusing the players. The key is having a system and making it simple that they can do that and finding the guys who can fill those roles. So I know Al mentioned one thing in his press conference talking about players and not plays, and that's really who we are. So we're evaluating the personnel right now. We're recruiting to try to fit our needs, and then the scheme will be, based on that. But we've done it all.
Coach, I'm Tim Reynolds of the Associated Press. Welcome, first of all.
Thank you.
Forgive me if this just comes out sounding a little awkward, but has this stopped seeming the tiniest bit surreal yet for you? I mean, a month ago, you guys are, looking for that much space in the Philly Daily News, and
right.
Here you are at one of the, one of the gems of college football. Does this seem real yet?
I guess our background. Obviously, Al and I were captains at Penn State. In 1991, we finished number 3 in the country when your Canes finished number 1. And we lost in the Orange Bowl, 26-20, so I still remember that. But, we've kind of, this is who we've been. I mean, we're used to, being at that time, we wanted to win a national championship. That's why you went to Penn State. There was no Big Ten. It was it. You were an independent, and that was it. If you didn't win the national championship, you were, it was a tough season. That's what you wanted. So I think, we've always seen ourselves, this way. Obviously, having ACC experience and being at Virginia certainly helped, prior to going to Temple. But, the opportunity that we had at Temple we felt was unique when no one else thought it was unique. I had a chance to stay at Virginia as the defensive coordinator, and I chose to go to Temple. And a lot of people thought I was crazy at that time. It was the 120th ranked defense in the country at a 120. And the same opportunity here. I had a chance to be the head coach at Temple and chose to be the defensive coordinator here. So never tried to worry about the popular decision or what everybody thought was a good move. I think this is a great move. And I'm thrilled to be here. But this is the type of place we expect to be.
Ryan Appleby, Sun Sentinel. I guess what's your philosophy on as far as blitzing? Under John Love, they didn't blitz a whole lot here. How do you kind of?
I don't think you can ever blitz as much as the fans and you guys want. I think everybody says, "Why don't you blitz? Why don't you blitz?" Well, I think there's certainly a lot of it depends on personnel. First and foremost, I mean, you have to first have the guys that can be able to cover, and you have to be able to have the guys who can get them on the ground if something does pop when you're aggressive. But we mix it up. I mean, we will pressure a bunch. We'll mix up coverages. We played a lot of zone coverage. We played man coverage. We've having the flexibility to get in and out of an odd front. We'll drop 8 at times, or we'll max pressure and we'll bring 7. So I think you just have to mix it up, and you have to find spots where it's the right thing to do. But I don't think you can be blitz happy. I think one of the things we pride ourselves on is, at the end of the day, scoring defense is the number 1 statistic. At the end of the day, I mean, you don't want to give up points. So however you do that, whether somebody decides they're going to blitz 70 times a game, or maybe it's a third of the game, whatever you do to get the points down, at the end of the day and not give up big plays and do those kind of things, I think, is the way you have to play. But obviously personnel will dictate that.
Looking at the personnel now, do you see that does they have enough to fit that, or you still need to go out and get some new?
I think right now, as I look at our personnel, I'm excited about the guys we have coming back. I think what we need to do is we need to build depth that Miami should have. I think right now on defense we don't have the depth that the University of Miami should have right now, and I think that's going to be critical in this recruiting class and the next one going forward. Which we're going to be full speed ahead on. So I think we have to get the depth. I think we have to continue to get the type of players that we want here to help us win an ACC championship. But when I went to Temple in 2006, we had 53 scholarship players. We had less than a 1AA team, and I don't think we played with 85 until our fifth year. It's all about player development. Whoever we have here will coach, and we'll coach them to be better, the best they can be. And I'm proud of that because I think we'll get our guys to play hard. I think they'll play disciplined. I think they'll tackle well. That'll be at the core of who we will be, and we'll put them in the right position to make plays.
Coach, along those
Sure.
lines, I have another question for you. You mentioned the recruiting aspect. Have you already seen this going to be a little easier, I assume, to recruit here than maybe at Temple?
It is, and you have, wherever you're at, you have to find your niche. At Temple, our niche was a little bit different. We had to find more diamonds in the rough. We weren't competing with Miami and Penn State and the likes of those type of people for recruits. But at the same time, that was one thing I was really proud of. I thought we had, starting from Al, I thought our staff did a great job evaluating players and then developing players. I was going through the list the other day. Right now, from a 2008 and 2009 season, on our defense at Temple, there's 6 players in the NFL. Okay, and there's going to be probably another 3 from the 2010 team drafted. So that's a pretty good record as far as kids that were, we don't pay attention to stars, but if you look back, none of those guys were higher than 2 stars, and there's going to be about 9 or 10 of them in a 3-year period that are going to be playing in the NFL. And to me, that's all about player development. That's finding the right guys who love the game, who want to learn, who want to work, and teaching them the fundamentals, teaching them how to get off blocks and tackle and learn how to prepare and learn situational football and all those things. So I'm confident that now stepping up and being able to recruit at a higher level will only pay off for us, really as we try to, go from where, there's a top 25 defense here and try to move higher. We went from 120 at Temple and we got into the top 25 and 12 categories this year, and that was something we're proud of. But obviously the stakes are higher now, and so I am anxious to wear the U in some schools tomorrow and all week, to be honest with you.
Coach, Susan Miller-Degnan, Miami
Hi, Susan.
Herald. Welcome. What are your impressions of the UM's defense in the Sun Bowl?
Well, I'll preface it with I know any transition is hard, and obviously this was a hard transition here. Anytime there's coaches that are going out and players that are staying on, I think that's a tough situation. I haven't been in that one, but I can imagine it being tough. I think the things that stood out to me are really at the core of who we want to be defensively. I think if you kind of just had a pyramid built up of what our goals would be on defense, I think at the very core, it's going to be that we're going to play really, really hard. We're going to finish. We're going to be physical. We're going to knock back piles. All 11 guys better be in the frame when we freeze it, and that's where it starts. And that has nothing to do with talent. Okay, that has nothing to do with talent. So we want to play harder than they played the other day. I think we want to be disciplined. Okay, we can't have penalties. Okay, obviously a lot of penalties in that game led to touchdowns. So right there we have to eliminate that, and we have to tackle well. We have to tackle better than they tackled in the game. And again, those are things that you can talk about. Those can be your philosophy, but if you don't have a plan to execute those, you're really not going to be able to get it done. And those are things we work on every day. Those are things we teach. Those are things that Al makes a big emphasis on as far as the penalties go. Tackling, we tackle every day. We're going to tackle every single day. At the end of the day, you can't play defense if you don't tackle well. And I think sometimes people get caught up in schemes and all these other things, but at their core, they have to be fundamentally sound. So I think that's where we're going to start. And we're going to start with that foundation. Clean that up was what I saw the other day, needs to be cleaned up based on how the season ended, and then get into the execution phases of stopping the run and third down defense and red zone and all those things that we feel like we do a good job of teaching.
Where did you watch the Sun Bowl?
I watched the Sun Bowl. I was actually in Jupiter, believe it or not. My in-laws have a vacation home in Jupiter Beach, so I was up there with my 2 boys wearing their Miami shirts on, and we watched the game. After a little while, I went in the other room, but that was it. No, I'm just kidding.
Coach, Brian London from
Yeah.
All Canes Radio. Welcome. Listening to some of your former teammates at Penn State who are local, like Troy Drake, you talk about your